Welcome to EnviroTalk, your podcast brought to you by the Environmental Management Agency. I'm your host, Mtemeli Nolyn, and we are proud to be recording this podcast live from COP15 at the Ramsar COP15 in Victoria Falls. And we were so glad to have Mr. Carlos Vasquez, the Chief of WASH with UNICEF, with us. We took this chance to talk to him. We want to see more, we want to learn more about what UNICEF is doing in terms of environmental education in schools. Welcome, Mr. Carlos.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. So just to talk a bit, Mr. Carlos, yesterday we had a very successful side event here at the Zimbabwe Pavilion, where we had a panel discussion with the youths and the children. And as UNICEF, can you tell us of the most significant or key takeaways from that discussion?
First of all, let me congratulate the government of Zimbabwe on this amazing organization for COP15. I think is a real triumph for the organization. In terms of your actual question, some of the key highlights for me was listening to the children and their environmental awareness. They're very, very linked to what the issues are, and they understand the linkages between their survival and a healthy environment. Ideas were coming in many different ways, but I can sense that there's a real sense of urgency in them to act and be part of the process for preserving and creating healthy environmental ecosystems.
Oh, interesting. And so I'm thinking the dialogue aimed to influence decision making here and beyond. I also know you are going to take a few youths onto COP30. So what actions or recommendations emerged from yesterday's event that you believe as UNICEF should be prioritized by policymakers to meaningfully integrate children and youth voices into wetland and climate action initiatives?
Well, let me frame my answer on the fact that more than 50% of the country are children below 18 years old. I think the exact number is 7.1 million children who are under 18. So within that context, I think it's fundamental that the voices of youth and children are present in the policy-making decision process. And that came out very strongly yesterday. Children want to participate. They want to be part of the decision-making process because at the end of the day, it's their future, right? We are in the last 5 minutes of the race, but they have the entire race in front of them, right? They still have to go around the stadium 3 times. I'm in my last loop. So we really need to hear their concerns. We need to hear what their vision for the future is. And policies and decisions need to align with their vision of what needs to happen.
Okay. I know you are supporting the government in a lot of initiatives in terms of environmental education for the youths and for the school children. Can you take us through maybe all of them if you can, or the major ones?
Yep.
Yeah.
So at the moment, I would say that the most significant work that embodies the environment, climate change, and youth is being done through the work that is financed and supported by the government of Korea, where we're working in 4 districts in the country, and we're making specific interventions there, engaging youth through school clubs, environmental clubs, nutrition gardens, solar-powered water systems that bring water to the schools, the clinics, and the nutrition gardens as well. And somewhat aligned with that, we're also working with the TUI Foundation from Holland. And some of the work is similar. So we are using different resources to push on the same direction. At the same time, we are starting a new project with Wild Horizon here in Victoria Falls, where we are going to collaborate on 3 schools that are under their CSO mandate. And we will begin to apply kind of the same learning and ideas that we're implementing under COICA and TUI. All of it aligns with the government's vision on the SDGs and sustainability. So we're not, working outside of the parameters of the government. But let me address one critical point that is at the heart of this meeting, COP15, which is Resolution 1411, that talks about the wetland education to be incorporated into the formal education system. That to me is a great opportunity. There's very good examples from the Wetlands School Association in Asia, and I think that could be a fantastic way to replicate in the continent, and if there's no appetite, at least to begin in Zimbabwe, to do something like that, where you actually galvanize children and students around wetlands and COP15.
Interesting. So I'm hoping that UNICEF is actually willing to help us as Zimbabwe integrate that into our formal curriculum. So beyond events like these ones and the projects that you have, how is UNICEF actively supporting environmental education initiatives in schools across Zimbabwe? Besides the projects you spoke about, what else are you doing? Yeah.
So, I cannot say across Zimbabwe because that's not true. But what we are doing is piloting ideas that are multi-sectoral. We know that if you want to build community resilience, it is better when you have a multi-sectoral approach when it comes to delivering social services. So, for example, if I drill a borehole and put a hand pump, and I said, okay, I'm done, that's one way to do it with very low impact, because now you need people to pump the water. Girls who normally fetch the water will still have to fetch the water and miss school hours. So some of the same challenges and problems will remain. But if you install on the same borehole, same location, a solar water pump, now you can ignite or trigger multiple social services. For example, you can bring water through a drip irrigation system to a nutrition garden, either in the school or in the community. Now you are tackling nutrition or malnutrition, and you are helping to reduce the levels of stunting. We can bring water to the clinic. Now you have an impact on health, especially for pregnant women who are delivering babies at the clinic, where sometimes there's no toilet and no available water, especially during the delivery time. We can bring water to the school, and now we are having an impact on education, right? With the Wash in School program, hygiene education, elimination of open defecation. So right there, with the same intervention, if you look at it from a more integrated, multi-social sector approach, you have a bigger impact on the same population, right? So their ability or resilience increases tremendously, especially in the context of climate change, droughts, cyclones, and all these challenges that the most vulnerable communities are exposed to in Zimbabwe.
Thank you very much, Carlos. Going back to the resolution that interested you most at this COP15, what are the plans or long-term goals that UNICEF has in terms of supporting environmental education?
Yeah. Okay, allow me to make one point. Under the Convention of the Rights of the Child, in 2023, the general comment number 26 to me is the link between COP15 or the wetlands initiatives and the survival of children. Why? Because general comment 26 talks about the rights of the children within a healthy environment, basically arguing that a child or the child's right cannot be fulfilled if you don't have environmental sustainability and healthy environments, right? A child cannot survive and thrive without access to clean, safe water, right? A child cannot grow and survive in a degraded, contaminated, polluted environment, right? So GC26, to me, is what connects these events that talk about wetlands or healthy environments and the rights of children, right? So looking to the future, I think that we need to understand and move on with the idea that a child cannot survive without a healthy environment. So we need to do both and recognize the rights of the environment, right? That's the only way that we can protect the environment. Let me give you one example. In India, the government declare rivers like humans, like the rivers have human rights. That was the only legal way that they could preserve and clean the rivers, by giving them a status of a human being, recognize them as living organisms, right? Once they passed that law and that policy, the, let's say, the recuperation or the sanitation of the rivers began, and the ecosystems began to be put back together the way they were before pollution started. So these are some of the ideas that are happening now around the world. The wetlands initiatives also are very important because they're protecting ecosystems around the world.
Wow, interesting. There you have it, viewers. We have UNICEF Chief of WASH here expounding on what UNICEF is doing in supporting environmental education amongst youth and children. Any parting shots, Carlos?
My last words, I would like to direct them to children of Zimbabwe, the 7.1 million children and youth. And I'll repeat what I said yesterday. Grab the microphone, speak, make your voices heard, become militant about the environment, because the environment is your future. Nature can survive without us and actually can get better without us, but we cannot survive without the environment. So their future, your future is completely linked to a healthy environment. So fight for it, make your voices heard, and participate.
Thank you very much, Carlos. We appreciate your time and those wise words that you gave to the children. This is your podcast, Enviro Talk, brought to you by the Environmental Management Agency. Till next time, stay green. Thank you.